Elden Ring's DLC is packed with challenging boss encounters, but Bayle the Dread could be one of the hardest ones in the game. You can use a few clever tricks to overcome the beast, though, so if you're struggling, keep watching. Bayle is one of the best dragon bosses FromSoftware has ever designed, and the encounter is even more epic when you summon Drake Knight Egon to fight alongside you. Earlier in the expansion, you may have met Egon near Pillar Pathway Point. He's on the ground wailing in despair and doesn't say much during your first encounter, but it's important that you speak to him then. That's because on the way up Jagged Peak, after you kill the Jagged Peak Drakes, Egon appears again to congratulate you. He calls you a true Drake warrior and asks that you summon him during your fight against Bayle. He gives you an item, Egon's Furled Finger, that makes his summon sign visible in Bayle's boss arena, and you can't summon him without it. Egon isn't the strongest summon, but he has some epic voice lines, and he helps distract the boss while you get a few hits in. And that's extra important because, like most bosses in Elden Ring's DLC, Bayle is fast and unpredictable, with a ton of health and attacks that deal absurd amounts of damage. Bayle uses lots of area of effect based lightning and fire attacks that are tough to dodge, especially when there's lots happening on screen, so the more health you have, the better. Make sure you have 60 Vigour and Morgoth's Great Rune for an extra 25% health, and with the Crimson Amber Medallion plus 3, I went into the fight with over 2,500 health. Pair that with the Flame Drake Talisman and Bolt Drake Talisman for extra fire and lightning resistance, and you'll be tanky enough to withstand a few of Bayle's attacks. After you enter the Fog Gate, if Bayle starts walking towards you instead of immediately launching an attack when the battle starts, you have a moment to summon Egon using his summon sign, as well as the spirit summons like the Mimic Tear. You don't have long though, because Bayle will usually use a long-range Fire Breath attack or a gap-closing leap to get close to you. If he uses his Fire Breath, dodge backwards and to the right or left. If he leaps at you, dodge at the last possible second to avoid damage. The winning strategy is to play it safe and get a few attacks in between Bayle's combos. You can either get your spirit summons to tank Bayle for you and then pelt him with ranged attacks from afar, or get up close and personal and tank the boss yourself. But avoid making the boss repeatedly switch targets, or it'll be harder to avoid his attacks. In any case, aim for the head. There are a few other attacks you need to watch out for. Bayle also has a close-range Dragon Breath that he aims at the ground, spewing fire in all directions around him. You should run away when you see him using this ability. Above all, watch out for Bayle's Bite attack. It's incredibly fast, and he can reach you from what feels like miles away. As soon as you see Bayle open his jaws and prepare to lunge, immediately roll away. Bayle's lunge is so quick that you need to hit the roll button as soon as he starts winding up his attack. If you're using ranged attacks and you notice Bayle switching targets, be prepared to dodge his bite. Dodge his attacks, keep the pressure on, and you'll make it to phase 2 in no time. Phase 2 begins around 60%. It's an epic transition where Bayle grows wings and gains the ability to fly around the arena. He also gets new lightning and fire-based attacks with massive range, so watch out. When he flies into the air, keep running in one direction and don't stop, and his projectiles will always miss you. Manage your stamina well and make sure you have enough left to get a couple of hits on Bayle as soon as he lands. Just make sure you aren't directly underneath him when he hits the ground, because he releases a massive explosion of lava and lightning. For the rest of the fight, most of Bayle's attacks deal splash damage and leave lava or lightning on the ground that explodes after a second or two. Bayle's exploding attacks are all very well telegraphed though, so stay away from everything nasty and you'll be fine. As soon as you find yourself standing in lava or lightning, roll out of it immediately and you'll almost always avoid damage. It's also worth noting that most of Bayle's attacks from Phase 1 get some upgrades in Phase 2. For the most part, they leave exploding lightning on the ground and get extra range. His breath attacks are even more deadly too. Most notably, the attack where Bayle breathes fire on the ground also releases a shockwave, so when you run away from the erupting flames, also make sure to jump over the shockwave too. Keep playing it safe and avoid Bayle's attacks, roll out of the lightning, aim for the head to deal as much damage as possible, and you'll put the beast down in no time.